Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey and Literature. I'm your host, Captain Mike, and I'm excited because tonight we're drinking a whiskey that I didn't know that I needed until I saw it at the Jim Beam store. When I go to Kentucky, I'm looking for bottles on my hit list specifically, but I'm keeping my eyes open for bottles that I didn't know that I needed, including ones like this one, the Old Overholt Cask Strength 10-year rye. Old Overholt was a distillery from Pennsylvania, and they specialize in a high rye, 80+%, consisting of a Pennsylvania rye, and they were acquired by Jim Beam in 1987, and since then they've been putting out a Kentucky style rye. This is the same recipe that you'll find in the Knob Creek rye and Jim Beam, so they're completely adequate ryes, but not awesome. I typically consider myself a high rye guy. Think Whistle Pig, High West, Smoke Wagon, but I'm not opposed to a lower style rye. I mean, Jack Daniel's came out with one of the best ryes in memory last year. They're Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. Let's have a quick sip and then we'll get to the specs and stats. Cheers. You know you're living when you're drinking this cask strength rye. Just an immediate warmth, an explosion of heat, some great flavors, some spice all over my mouth. It is great. But let's get to the specs and stats and then we'll break down this whiskey as best we can. For me, this is an old-fashioned looking bottle. You have ornery looking Abe Overholt on the front. It's an old-fashioned looking font and bottle shape. The mash bill for this whiskey is undisclosed. It's probably 51% rye and then a whole bunch of corn, but undisclosed, and we don't know. Word is they're gonna take this back to its roots with that Pennsylvania rye and 80%, but that's coming soon, but not in this batch. This is still the Kentucky style rye. This was aged 10 years, of course. It's cask strength, bottled at 121 proof, and this is one of the highest proof ryes that Jim Beam has ever put out. I'm just gonna read to you from the back of the label. This old-fashioned looking label. It does say Old Overholt Cask Strength Straight Rye Whiskey is quality screened to remove only pieces of charred barrel wood. So I think that means that this is a non-chill filtered rye, if that matters to you. And I've had comments off and on through my channel here about whether non-chill filtered whiskey makes a difference, and I tend towards it does, but I've heard pretty good arguments that chill versus non-chill filtered, we as consumers can't even tell. MSRP is $99. Of course, I bought at the distillery, and the way that works is I believe distilleries can't sell to us directly, so the distillery sells to a distributor who sells it back to the distillery or to a store that's at the distillery, and then we buy it from them. That's why oftentimes I've realized as I've been in Kentucky buying bottles from distilleries, that might not actually be the best place to buy a bottle. It is semi-allocated. I've not really been hunting this bottle here in the Tampa Bay area, but I believe it's slightly allocated. I don't know exactly what the batch, how many bottles there are out there, how many barrels went into this batch, but I've never seen this bottle here in the Bay, though I've seen some guys on Facebook say they picked a bottle of this here nearby me at $99. And I'll tell you what, I will all day, every day pay 10 bucks over MSRP for a bottle of whiskey that I really like. I've paid, I'm ashamed to admit, but I have paid well more than that for some of the bottles that I have. All right, guys, let's get it. Old Overholt Cask Strength 10-year rye. And I was thinking about the other bottles of ryes that I have in the house here, and I have some 10-year-old ryes, and I have some cask strength ryes, but I don't have any other 10-year-old cask strength rye. So I'm interested, do you have any other 10-year-old cask strength ryes? Some of them I really like a lot, the bottles that I have, but this exact style, again, 10-year cask strength, I don't have. So I'm interested in, if you have any other like that, let me know what I should be looking for when I'm out there looking for bottles. Anyway, got a little whiskey gleek there. It's a nice nose. It's very present. There's a hint of pepper there on the nose. I'm not getting, and it is cask strength, but I'm not getting blown away with ethanol and alcohol. I can feel some heat, but it's rich and it's sweet. Again, Kentucky style, probably a huge amount of corn in here. Spent 10 years in the barrel. So I'm getting some deep sweetness in there, along with that thread of spice, some pepper spice. Well, okay, so there was really bit of heat there, maybe a little too deep that time. Sugary, some brown sugar. Oh, there we go. Some earthiness. It's not like a floral note, what I would expect perhaps from some high rye rise. I think that corn just kind of brings that down some. A little bit of earthiness, not quite a hay note, but some pepper, earthiness, some brown sugar, some sweetness. Very present, and again, not bright, but it's a very present nose. I do like it. Cheers. At first it was some sweetness, but then it just really ramped up with that spice. Just really some peppery spice right there in my mid-tongue, but it's still coating around my mouth. Just some more baking spices. That earthy thread is in there. Is still some perhaps some hay or earthiness. Just don't know how to describe that. It's not into the grassy, totally hay like I get on some of these whiskeys, but it's more earthy, but not like in a peaty sense, like in a peated whiskey, just and not dirty or nothing. Yeah. It's kind of grassy, earthy. There you go. That sweetness that was on the nose is kind of left behind these baking spices, pepper spice, earthiness, some deep fruits. I'm going to say some cherries in there, some cinnamon. I do really like this. Again, I'm a big fan of rye whiskeys, typically high rye, but this cask strength, this is a really good. I did a best ryes of 2023, and I think I had the Stellum rye. I can't remember which one I had on there exactly, but this is a pretty good rye. I don't know if it rises to the best rye of 2023. That's, you know, I just got it recently, so to me it's 2024, but this 2023 edition here, or this bottle's from 2023. So, but it is really good. Again, all those stuff, earthy, some cinnamon, spice, some pepper spice, some baking spice, it's all in there. I think this is an excellent rye. I did have a sip of it before I started this video, which I was glad, because it was so overpowering, the strength. It was just like, maybe that would have been great on camera, but it kind of choked me up for a second because I haven't had any whiskey yet today. It's leaving me with a nice warmth, which is not surprising at 121 proof. It's not overwhelming, like powerful. Sometimes you drink some of these barrel proof whiskeys that are just amazingly strong and they just leave you gasping. This is not doing that. Maybe it's a little hot for just sipping. I do not typically drop water, certainly not ice, on almost any of the whiskeys that I drink, but I'm thinking maybe a couple drops of whiskey in this Glencairn might just cut that down a little bit and let it open up some. But it's really a nice finish. It's not crazy viscous, but it is oily and nice and leaving me with a nice mouthfeel. But that sweetness is almost all gone, and it's just, again, a pepper spice all the way through, and some nice heat and some warming there from the whiskey. I like this a lot. I don't think it rises to the level of the Jack Daniels. I think it would give the Stellum Rye, the Fibonacci blend, a run for its money, but I think if you can find this and you're a fan of rye whiskeys, and I haven't had the regular Overholt rye, so I haven't had their regular basic one. I've just only had this one, and I think it's pretty darn good. And I think if you can find a bottle of this for $99, it's a worthy addition to your shelf. And I'm looking forward to getting deeper into this bottle. I think Jim Beam, for me, has been on fire in 2023. All right, my guys, that's it for tonight. If you enjoyed the video, like it, it's free. Subscribe to see more of my content. I do both whiskey and book reviews. But for now, my friends, you know what to do. I hope you're reading something good and drinking something great. Turn to the page and stay thirsty. Cheers.